Another bonus short story continuation from last week. This will be published under Surviving Your Journey Towards Success. That is for my new podcast that will launch December the 4th, 2017. In these short stories that I am publishing under my initial podcast, Surviving Your Journey Towards Success, will allow the listeners to get a feel for my short stories, as well as the feature stories that I'm doing under MOLIAE, the production that I have already produced several types of different shows or webisodes, film, stage plays, as the production is in preparation for the prestige return of MOLIAE. In these short stories, I will also write modern day stories, different types of characters and lessons to be learned that I enjoy writing. My podcast, Nichel Anderson Short Stories and Beyond, is considered premium content, meaning that once it launched, I will release stories every week. Most of them will be presented where to get the full and remaining of that particular episode, you will connect in the sense of being a paid patron. There will be other stories uploaded for listeners to be able to still get a feel for my short stories and listen to the story being told. But as I mentioned, this is considered premium content where you can access more stories, the complete story, and so forth. I do hope that you consider to be a patron. More information, there will be a link provided that you can click on to my patron page, and that you can find the different types of rewards for each level that you participate in. Thank you for supporting my productions. Let's get started. Welcome again. Thank you for joining me for this week's next installment of short stories featuring MOLIAE, a theatrical production from my book, Mitsrayim, a memoir that highlights ancient Egypt, Kemet. At this timeline, it is before the time of Princess Amina, when Mitsrayim was still at the height of its power, influence, and knowledge of those from the Cimmerian region. For those that are new to MOLIAE's story, Princess Amina was the person that came through that led to me to write the book Mitsrayim, that later led to produce a stage play. Then from there, it went to webisodes and a short film. So most of my followers are familiar with Princess Amina. That was the time period that the whole story of Mitsrayim that formulated into MOLIAE, which basically means moments of love in ancient Egypt in the theatrical production. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move into this particular time frame that I introduced 2 weeks ago when I announced my new podcast, Nichel Anderson Short Stories and Beyond, that will launch December the 4th. So in this timeline, before the time of Princess Amina, in the last week episode, let me give you a recap. Comrade Jetur made sure Nontu left Mitsrayim, and then he was pulled away into a mysterious matter resulting from the war. In the meantime, Queen Hagar revealed the person she went to see after intense meeting with Nontu of the High Council of Orions. It was King Mahlon that seemed to be recovering from severe wounds as Ezri the High Herbalist of the royal family continued to assist in his recovery. In this episode short story that you will get to enjoy, entitled Upon the Truth, Many Mysteries Are Revealed. This short story provides the continuation from last week of this promotional teaser for my new podcast, Nichel Anderson Short Stories and Beyond, where in the short clip it advances 2 Aspu days from last week. Let's begin in this week's episode for promoting my forthcoming podcast, Nichel Anderson, Short Stories and Beyond. Opening scene. In the West Bank of the Sudan, unknown to many but a few, Nontu of the High Council of Orions walked slowly in to the den of the Orion Council. The dark gray cave walls were moist from the previous Aspu showering down water from clouds. Only the light rays from Kingu above and the slight openings of the cave came through. The ground held steadily as solid stone as Nontu's footsteps echoed ever so slightly. There, almost immediately, at a far distance, the council appeared before him. There sat the 8 that could hold his fate, upon telling them the not-so-good news from Mitsrayim. Echo, the head leader from the Orion skies, spoke first as he felt Nontu was about to reveal something not pleasing to the council. Speaking in Orion. Na te venakum, nato venakum. Translation. You made it here in one regard, I see. Nontu nodded, avoiding direct eye contact. Echo did not like Nontu's silence, again speaking in their Orion language. Hekono, Velen, Sikoto Ehan. Translation. Did you speak to the king's royal elders, or you did not? Silence. Finally, Nontu speaks. Neu. He felt the fury rise in the damp cave surrounding him. Echo yelled with fury in their language. Yoko! Translation. Why? Silence. Nontu speaks slowly. Nichel. Henono, bese kuwa nafe, heko nata alonita vinu, seko nona nanawu nafe esowa alotunana kulalasi lalo. Translation. The king is alive, but was not present. The Queen Hagar is ruling as the sole rule, deciding matters of which we seek to control. Lanko. One of the council to the far right stood up in a matter of seconds and drew a sword to start charging at Nontu. Immediately, Nontu stepped back, reaching for his weapon in defense. Echo yelled for Lanko to stop in the highest order. Lanko ceased, moving closer with his long sword, only inches from Nontu. Slowly, Lanko lowered his sword, still watching Nontu. Echo spoke in their language. Henap hakan basako no nafa anoto enanta. Translation. You informed the council that King Mahlon did not make it well out of the war. Nontu lowered his weapon and looked back and forth at each council member. He finally speaks in their language. Nasa feneka no nawo gasi nanabeli nagata no malolak fenekesio. Translation. There seems the gods are on King Mahlon's side, for he is alive somewhere. Later, in the shadowy night of the Royal Abbas Palace, Ezra is walking next to Queen Hagar. They are still feeling exceptionally pleased with joy for Mahlon to come out of his long sleep from his many rooms. On the open balcony on the south side of the palace, they both can see a grand wide view of the valley of Mitsrayim as Kingo above grayish light falls down over the area covering most of the Mitsrayim people still about below, walking and moving amongst one another to their place of shelter. It was a beautiful, calm, peaceful evening. In the far distance, the pyramids seemed to gleam as gold does at the far end of their view. Ezra speaks. It was a joyous moment a few Aspu days ago, my queen. Indeed, Queen Hagar responds, rubbing her belly. Ezra cautiously speaks to the Queen of Mitsrayim. If I can say before you, you may. Queen Hagar looked over to her dear longtime friend. Ezra nods. You must take care in Mahlon not to move him forward in ruling. He still needs time for a full Aspu moment. The runes are deep, but healing. Queen Hagar looks out to the open area of the grounds. I see. Ezra continues. He will stand tall by your side, and in time of the new in you. He nods at the Queen. Queen Hagar smiles. When will we know if it is a son or daughter? Ezra responds. In the coming days, it shall reveal itself soon. Queen Hagar looked pleased. Arshe. She pauses. It is time now for me to tell Princess Hannah of her father before the others. It is safe now. Ezra nods at the Queen. Arshe. Arshe. Moments came before the two. She turns around knowing someone was entering the royal balcony. It was Helik, the second highest rank of the southern region of Mitsrayim Guard, and the secret military spy of the royal family. She felt his concern. He bowed before the Queen and handed her a rolled-up papyrus scroll. She unrolled the scroll and read it. The writing was in Cimarron cuneiform. She looked back up at him. Send 400 of our military forces on the banks of Ganuto. Comrade Jetur is on our side. I feel as so. And Comrade Jetur will send the message to him for Mitsrayim and the world family. Our military force will seal the message. Nontu of Orions, my queen, replied Helik, before leaving the royal balcony and faded into the grand enclave hall of the royal palace. End scene.